the most vulnerable time of my life. Hey mamas, hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another video, and for this one you're gonna need some popcorn. So grab you a snack, grab you some popcorn, because what you're about to hear is too much even for me, and I went through it, okay? So stick around to the very end to find out what crazy pregnancy journey I experienced in the past year. Before we get into it, if you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Georgette, and I'm a wife and a mother of two. I recently just had my son, who is about to be 6 months at the time I'm filming this video. I have a passion for fitness and wellness, and I love Jesus, so I'm a Christian. Hey, all believers out there. Drop a praying hand emoji in the comments below if you're a believer as well. I'm sure you're here because you like content like this, right? So go ahead, don't take your time. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click on the like button because I'm sure you're gonna like this, right? And also stick around, and I hope that you come back in the future. Follow me on Instagram on this handle right here. I'll put it right here. And yeah, get ready for this story of my life. 2022, I got pregnant, I had a miscarriage, went through the worst toothache ever. I know I keep bringing it up, but it was terrible. Half of my face was swollen, so it was definitely bad. And I think that was as a result of all the hormones left in my body from being pregnant and miscarrying and all of that. I move on from that. I got pregnant again pretty shortly after that. And I'm like, okay, finally I have a rainbow baby growing in me, and I'm gonna take my time and enjoy this. So first trimester, per usual, feeling sick, took a pregnancy test because I had a missed period, all of that, the usual stuff you hear about: missed period, sore breasts, feeling tired. So I was looking forward to the test being positive, which it was. So I was ready to enjoy the journey, but I was like, you know what, let's get this first trimester out of the way. Second trimester, my past pregnancy, the second trimester was way easier on me. That was my most energetic because my stomach wasn't as big as it would be in the third trimester. And then I'd also gone past the first, which was very tired, sick, can smell food, all of that. So I was ready for the second trimester. Okay. Second trimester comes, still sick. Okay. Why? I was ready to eat some good food and make good use of this pregnancy because typically, I'm watching what I eat and my weight and all that. I was like, I will eat as much as I can in this pregnancy. Well, that didn't happen. I was still sick. And then my anatomy scan was up, and baby was looking fine and everything. I was like, yeah, thank God. But one thing I didn't expect was to hear that my cervix was short. But I didn't really pay much attention to that. I had my gender reveal. I found out I was gonna have a boy. I was like, oh my gosh, that was my gender reveal was full of emotions because I didn't really think it would be a boy. I don't know why. If you don't know me, I have 4 sisters and I have a daughter. So I'm very much always around girls. And so like having a boy, it wasn't that I was disappointed. It was more so just like, wow, how am I going to do this? How am I going to raise a boy? He's going to be a man one day. I'm raising a man. But I have come to accept it, and my husband and his brothers are great role models, so he's going to be fine. So y'all, right after the gender reveal, that's when it starts to get concerning. I go for my next appointment, and it's right at 2.5 centimeters. And this is where, like, this is the cutoff of how short your cervix is supposed to be before it becomes like really concerning. So I'm prescribed progesterone pills to insert down there. So, I'm feeling a little bit of pelvic pressure and aches, but I'm like, you know what? Let's hope that this thing is doing its work. I go again a week later, even shorter. It was down to like 1.95. So I'm like, what are y'all gonna do? So they sent me home again. And mind you, I don't really know much about cervical incompetence or short cervix. So I'm not really pushing for it. I wasn't even really looking at it as a risk. Like, I knew it was, but I think I was putting my trust too much in my medical provider. Next thing I know, I didn't even wait another week. I go because I see like mucus and it's brown, and I feel like my baby is coming out. Like, there was this pressure between my legs and this weight that felt like, oh my gosh, I could have this baby at any time. So I went in again, and y'all, it had dropped to 0.6 centimeters. I was so that that day, my husband and I had to make a decision right away if we wanted to get a cerclage. If you know what a cerclage is, it's basically a stitch they put in your cervix to close it tight so it doesn't keep opening up. So I don't go into preterm labor, basically. So we had to decide to get that done like that same day, because they still kind of give you a choice, even though like that was our only choice. They still let you decide if you want to do that or not. So we had to say a prayer real quick and decide to do it. And mind you, cerclage has its own risks too. It's not 100% that you're gonna make it. There's risks like infections or rupturing the membranes accidentally. So this was a scary situation. I will talk more about the cerclage in another video because it's a whole process of its own. But yeah, I had to get a cerclage. So I was admitted that same day. I went in and had dropped to 0.6 centimeters. And the next morning, they put the cerclage in. Thankfully, that part went smoothly, but I asked so many questions, y'all, so many questions. If you've had a cerclage before or had any pregnancy related medical like emergency, oh my goodness, like you're not just worried about yourself, you're worried about the baby too. Thankfully, my baby was safe. He wasn't the issue. It was my body that was the problem. So I got that done, and man, I just don't even know how I did that. So we got the cerclage in, well, I got the cerclage done, and that came with its own set of new rules, like pelvic rest and don't do this and don't do that. So I went from being sick, at this point, I'm not even sick no more. That morning sickness that I was looking forward to like seeing it disappear, it did disappear because now there was a bigger problem. So got the cerclage, but now I couldn't do the things that I normally do. I couldn't work out no more. Huge bummer, hated that. I couldn't really do things around the house like cook or clean or bend over because we were trying to take every precaution to not rupture the stitch, or, you know, I was told it wasn't going to break, but I was very cautious because I was also told to not be on bed rest, but be on partial bed rest. So if a doctor is telling you to not do too much, it kind of adds the anxiety. So my poor husband, he has to cook, he has to clean, give our daughter baths. The worst part about being on partial bed rest is not being able to play with my daughter as much as I wanted to. I mean, everything about it was bad, but that really broke my heart because this is my girl. I homeschool her, I go for walks with her, I sit on the floor and play with her. I do so much with her. So having to go from all of that to gradually just saying no to her because I started being sick in the beginning and all that, it was just heartbreaking for me. And I felt so weak. I felt like, oh my gosh, like, is this gonna be a part of her life that she remembers forever? It was just, as a mom, the mom guilt was so much. So cerclage is done. You would think, oh, that's it, right? No. Third trimester comes, and you know, I've gotten used to this new life of having to sit back and watch my husband do everything. And then something else shows up. I start passing out. It's been something for each trimester. It all started with just randomly after breakfast feeling stomach pain. You know, just got used to bathroom type of stomach pain. And then I would start to get shaky, like jittery, and then my heart rate would just elevate. And then before I know it, I'm like feeling faint or dizzy, or I just gotta sit down. The worst, ooh, the sun. The worst that ever happened was I passed out. And actually that happened 3 times. I passed out 3 times, really bad. One of them, I remember my husband saying, if you can hear me, I don't know, say something or move your finger or something. And it was very faint and I couldn't do anything. I could hear it in the back. It was like a distance of hearing a voice, but you can't really move. You can't react to it the way you would want to. The second time, I remember hearing him on the phone saying, my wife is on the toilet. She's unresponsive. I think, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And this was a point my husband thought I had actually passed, like for real. And so I just remember at that point, just like telling him, hey babe, it's okay. I'm fine. I remember that. So not only did my husband have to go from giving our daughter a bath and playing with her and cooking and cleaning, now he got to take care of me in ways that I didn't even expect. I was so vulnerable in this journey. I was super vulnerable. I just lost all of me. I really did. Because sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I could have still dressed up and done this and that. And then I'm like, girl, there is no way you could have done that. I was defeated. I was stretched. Like it was too much. So all this passing out was basically something called vasovagal. They say it happens a lot pregnancy, and it was due to me having low blood sugar and low blood pressure. So the issue was because in the mornings, like breakfast is like you've gone hours of not eating, right? So since I had low blood sugar, whenever I had breakfast and it was like carb heavy, it would spike my blood sugar up. And that's what was causing all these things. So I was told to add more protein to my meals. And instead of eating one big breakfast, eat it in tiny bits. So that helped a whole lot. So if you're going through that, or if you're pregnant, consider not eating a huge breakfast first thing in the morning. Try to usher yourself into the day by eating small meals and also adding protein to each meal. So now we're just getting closer and closer to my due date. And I think this happened around December. Yeah. So one more thing. Why did we catch COVID in the midst of all of this? It was one thing after the other, y'all. December 31st, I remember this clearly because it was the day before New Year. My husband is not the type to get sick, but he just started saying, oh, I feel sick. And, he was just like laying around a little bit more. That's not him. So I just thought maybe he caught a cold or, it's cold weather. So anything like that can happen. The very next day, New Year, he was sick. So he got tested and it was COVID. And I was like, oh, Lord, really? So I started sleeping separately from him, trying to keep myself safe because I'm not trying to add that on top. 2 days later, here I go. Body pains, feeling tired, fatigued. Oh my gosh, my bones felt like they were going to fall off. And if you've had COVID before, I'm pretty sure you know how it is. My bones felt so heavy and I just felt so achy. I was tired all the time. I just felt like I had been beaten with a bag of stones. So I caught that and I was like, Lord, please don't let my daughter catch it because then there's an extra person to take care of, right? She catches it, but thank God, hers was only for a day. She felt tired and weak for one day. And then the very next day she was back to herself. Praise God. So I caught COVID and the two things that I hated about it was the feeling really fatigued, like my whole body was aching, and the cough. I coughed for like 2 weeks straight. I was coughing. I was just like, I was a sad person. I was I was pitiful. I was vulnerable. I was weak. This was the most vulnerable time of my life ever. This pregnancy was the worst ever. Yeah. So I was coughing so much. COVID cough is terrible. Like it's nonstop. Like you're trying to contain yourself and you just cannot. And I kept coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing. Even after I was feeling better, I was just coughing. And it hurt like crazy. My pelvic area was already hurting because now the baby is huge. I've got 2 more months to go. He's big. I feel a lot of pelvic pressure already. Then on top of that, I'm coughing. Every time I cough, my stomach would just tighten up. And it just hurt so much. One time I just broke down in the bathroom and I was just in tears like, Lord, how much more are you going to take me through? It was really that bad. So it was really bad. I was so weak and achy and pregnant. These are 3 things that shouldn't be together because at that point, pregnancy is already unbearable. After that, I recovered, thank God. I got to 36 weeks and it was time to take the cerclage out, the stitch out. And normally you don't know when you could go into labor. So I prepared everything for myself. Like I packed my hospital bag. I got everything ready because anything can happen. Thankfully, the removal itself was not bad. It was very uncomfortable though. Oh Lord, very uncomfortable. If you've had a cerclage before or even a pap smear. Oh yeah, pap smear. Think about how that feels times maybe, I don't want to say 10, but that. So it wasn't painful, but it was like this close to being painful because of how uncomfortable it was. So that got taken out. It was smooth, nothing traumatic. And I was just ready for my baby to come. I waited a week. I waited 2 weeks. I waited 3 weeks. I got my cerclage removed on February 1st and my baby came on February 25th. He went 1 day past his due date. I didn't really do anything to hasten the procedure. I didn't want to induce myself or anything. After everything I'd been through, I didn't want any other complications like the baby not being ready and I, you know, force it and it's something that's not completed. I just don't want any added problems. So I endured everything. I mean, I've come this far, right? I might as well finish the last couple of weeks. So 40 weeks plus 1 day, and that's when my son decided to come. It was one night at 4 a.m. Contractions started. They just got more intense and closer together, and my baby just came out at 10:22 in the morning, and that was the reward of everything I went through. I don't want to go through it again, but I would say that seeing my son's face made everything worth it. It's something I would never wish on anybody at all because it was a terrible experience. But in all of it, God was good. Thankfully, what I went through was temporary, and my son didn't have anything permanent that would just keep reminding me of what I went through. So that in itself is a testimony. And I'm just thankful that it made me stronger, not how I would have preferred it, but I'm stronger. I'm in a better mindset. It gives me more appreciation for life because I could have passed out and not come back. It gives me more respect for pregnancy, for pregnant moms, because it's a lot we go through. Like, you literally risking your life every time you're pregnant. It's intense. It's an intense journey. And I know that for some people, it's pretty smooth. Even for myself, my first time, it was not bad at all. But it's life changing. It's risky. And so, like, every day I look at my kids and I'm like, oh, thank God for another day. Thank God that he's bringing us through this. And thank God that he's done this and that, because it was something that could have taken me to my worst. So when I tell you guys that I'm done having kids, I mean it with every fiber in my body. Like, it will literally take God using some kind of sign that to me is non-negotiable for me to say, oh, it's his will for me to have another baby. But other than that, I am so done. Oh, y'all, this sun is sunning in my face. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's it for the video. Put the pregnant woman emoji in the comment section below. I hope that if you made it this far, that you enjoyed my story and you can thank God with me for bringing me through all of it. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and don't forget to turn on your notification bell to get notified every time I post. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.